Hey guys, it's the Conic, and after seeing the latest GGG teaser for Necropolis, I just had to make this video because this one change is such a big nerf to certain skills, and most especially Necromancer and just minion builds as a whole. So let's talk about it. Now, for those of you who have not seen the teaser, the TLDR is they are adding 2 new skill gems called Automation and Call to Arms. And what they do is they cast linked instant skills off cooldown automatically. And I know your first reaction might be, that is a big buff. What could I be talking about? Well, what I'm referring to is this little tidbit in the video that you guys will see in a moment.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. We're adding 2 new skill gems in 3.24, Automation and Call to Arms. These skill gems can be toggled on to auto-cast linked instant skills the moment they're off cooldown. We've removed the capacity to bind any instant skill to left click as a result. This not only allows you to retain the same behavior as before, but it will now auto-cast the skills while you are stationary. Players who...
Now, what exactly am I referring to in the video that I just played, or the teaser I just played? I'm referring to the point where they mention that we can no longer bind our skills, our instant skills, to left click to trigger them, and as such we are forced to use automation support.
We've removed the capacity to bind any instant skill to left click as a result.
Why is this a problem? Because minion builds, as in the current state of PoE at least, are very socket starved to the point where we forego items that grant minion related stats like minion resist on the bone ring for the onset ring, which provides an extra socket. Now, by giving us yet another gem that we have to use, well, you just increase the pressure even more. And not only that, on the Necromancer's ascendancy tree, there's a node called Bone Barrier, I believe. Now, Bone Barrier provides a skill called Bone Armor, and Bone Armor basically gives us a buff, it's a defensive buff that stops bleeding and takes away some damage, prevents some damage from applying to us, and this is important, and our minions. What does this mean? Because it is a ascendancy skill, we cannot link it to automation. And because we cannot link it to automation, we have to manually cast it if we want to use it. And as such, I just don't see this as being a node that many people will take, if any. And it's very detrimental to minion survivability as a whole, just because now we do not gain that defensive barrier on them every 3 seconds. And even through that, at certain points of, let's say, the campaign, your minions would be in a very touchy spot where they aren't quite as defensive as you would like, and that node would really help in the leveling process. And just taking the automation out of that away it hits hard. It's very detrimental to the node as a whole. And even beyond the downsides I have mentioned, there are some others I have not brought up, like the fact that it has a cost multiplier of 150%, making it a lot less comfortable to use for builds that just get by on having the bare minimum of mana, using maybe double -7 mana cost rings to get all their skills and defenses to like maybe 1 mana cost, and they just get coasting by. Giving it that increased mana cost multiplier is it's also going to affect those builds too. And then there's also a line on the skill gem that says reduce cooldown recovery rate, which is going to just lead to you straight up having just less uptime on your defensive abilities. Your molten shells are going to be up less, your steel skins, you're going to have that bleed immunity a lot less. Like it is a very noticeable difference. But with all the bad that I have mentioned, I also feel the need to bring up the positives with the gem, which do exist, contrary to how it's been sounding so far. The biggest positive now is you can link multiple skills to the instant casts, like let's say Phase Run and Molten Shell. These 2 skills, you could not obviously put them both on left click, and you would have to resort to using a cast when damage taken for the defensive, or maybe on Phase Run even, if that's what you wanted. But you would have to use that to trigger it. But right now you can actually just link, I would guess people could use it on a 4 link and just have 3 triggered skills. So like there are some positives to it. And other than this, I mentioned reduced cooldown recovery as a downside. I would wager honestly that with higher levels of the gem and once you put quality in it, it probably offsets it to the point where it would actually increase the cooldown recovery rate, and that would give you more uptime on your defensives. But as I have not seen the gem, I do not know. But I think it's a fair wager to say that this is how it would probably work by level 20, 21 with 20% quality. When I saw the teaser, I felt the need to bring this up as I enjoy playing with Bone Barrier and also minion builds in general. And I hope GGG is able to come up with a solution or some middle ground for the Ascendancy node so it doesn't just vanish into irrelevance. But that being said, let me know down in the comments what your first reaction was seeing the teasers, this one or even one of the previous Necropolis teasers so far. I would love to hear them. And I also don't typically make this kind of videos where I just record my impressions on stuff like this. So do let me know if it's something you would like to see more of as the season gets closer. And with that said, thank you for watching.